Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is April 12th, 2025, and Barcelona just achieved an agonizing victory, barely defeating Leganes 0-1 with an own goal. But very important victory as Barcelona now are 7 points ahead of Real Madrid, who are set to play their respective match tomorrow against Alaves. This is the post match live analysis. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. I know I promised you guys a watch-along. I do apologize. I fell asleep. I'm still a little bit jet-lagged from my Japan trip. I've been waking up like 3, 4, 5 in the morning every day involuntarily, not on purpose. So I was very, very exhausted. I went to bed at 3 a.m. yesterday, and somehow, some way, I didn't set an alarm, but somehow, some way, my body automatically woke up at 3 p.m. and I said, "Oh crap, the match!" Now I was able to watch the full match, but having just woken up, I wasn't able to do the watch along. So I do apologize about that. But let's start with the post-match live analysis, because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona just achieved an agonizing victory against Leganes, defeating them 0-1 with an own goal by Leganes. And with this victory, Barcelona are now 7 points ahead of Real Madrid, who are set to play against Alaves tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. here in New York or Eastern Standard Time. And this is very, very important because this, of course, puts a lot of pressure on Real Madrid, because tomorrow all Real Madrid are playing for is to maintain the status quo. Real Madrid have no chance tomorrow now at cutting the distance, because if they win, it goes back to being 4 points, and that's how it was before this La Liga fixture. So this puts a lot of pressure on Real Madrid because there's nothing to look forward to, right? It's not like, oh, we got to come out tomorrow, we got to win, because if we do, we get closer to Barca. No, it's like, let's go out there and win, and if we do, things will stay the same, which would be Barcelona 4 points ahead of Real Madrid. Now, of course, if they draw, that'd be great, because then Barcelona would be 6 points ahead. And if they lose, well, Barcelona would stay at 7 points. So it's kind of demoralizing for Real Madrid, especially since they do have the Champions League match on Wednesday against Arsenal. They're down 0-3. So, of course, they're not going to be looking to go all out tomorrow. They're going to want to preserve their energy and their players for that Champions League match. So who knows? Maybe Alaves can pull a miracle tomorrow and help us extend the lead. But either way, this was a very important victory, because it keeps Barcelona a minimum of 4 points ahead of Real Madrid. Now, as far as the match itself, really, really terrible match by Barcelona. Really terrible match by Leganes. It was just an awful match. But it was an important victory because it's one of those matches that on paper, they seem easy, right? You have Barcelona, who are on top of the Liga table, versus a small team that is fighting not to be relegated. So on paper, it sounds like an easy match that Barcelona is going to come out and smash them. But these are those kind of deceitful matches, because in reality, they end up being very difficult match against a smaller club playing at home that, gets encouraged by their fans, gets encouraged about by playing against a big team. They park the bus, they defend with all 11 players, and then they look to capitalize on small mistakes by Barcelona or by any big club. It has worked for Leganes all the season. They beat us during the first half of the season. They beat Atletico Madrid. They made life very difficult for Real Madrid. So again, one of those very deceiving matches that on paper seem easy, but on the field, they actually end up being very difficult matches. And these are the kind of matches where La Liga titles are won or lost, right? Because these are the kind of complicated matches where big clubs end up losing. You end up dropping important points in an important stretch of La Liga. And these are the kind of matches that either win you or lose you a title. And where today, Barcelona won. And this is going to be very important towards Barcelona's hope to win in La Liga, because, yes, it is nice to beat big clubs like Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, but that's not where you win La Liga titles. You win La Liga titles against small clubs, because at the end of the day, the majority of the clubs that you're going to be playing against are clubs that are inferior to you. And if you cannot beat clubs that are inferior to you or smaller clubs, then there's no way you can win a La Liga title because, again, El Clásico is only 2 matches. Atletico Madrid is only 2 matches. If you win those 4 and then lose every other one, what? You got 12 points. You can't win a La Liga title with 12 points. So these are the kind of matches that you need to win, these difficult, complicated matches against smaller clubs, if you hope to win a La Liga title. And well, today, Barcelona were able to pull this victory. A little bit with luck because it was an own goal. But at the end of the day, you have to create the chance that ends up being an own goal, because if you're not attacking, there's no way the other team can score an own goal unless one of the players just, I don't know, gets mad, turns around and just shoots the ball against their own goal, which obviously it's not going to happen. Now, overall, not a good match by Barcelona. There was a lot of loss of ball, like stupid losses of ball. The players were making very inaccurate passes. Not a good match by Barcelona. And also Leganes, doing the same thing as any small club does, not only parking the bus and defending with all players, but, constantly looking to disrupt the flow of the match, make faking fouls, diving, simulations, all this stupid shit that small clubs do. But you can't blame them for doing it, because at the end of the day, the resource gap is so huge between these small clubs and bigger clubs that they have to resort to those tactics. So I don't really blame them. I blame the referees who allow this to happen. Now, today, I have no complaints about the ref, because I think the ref did not make any mistakes, and the ref did not buy a lot of the crap that Leganes were trying to pull, a lot of the dives, a lot of the fake injuries, the simulation. The referee did not buy it, so I'm not here to criticize today's ref, but I do have to say something in regards to refereeing in general in La Liga, not about today's ref. And it's time to start talking about giving out yellows to players who dive. And this goes for everyone, including Barcelona players. But for example, Lamine Yamal used to dive a lot during the first half of the season. Now he's not doing it as much. But I think it's time to start talking about handing out yellows to players who dive and simulate, because we always talk about the referees making mistakes and always, getting mad at the referees and yelling at the referees for making mistakes. But when a player simulates, when a player dives, when a player fakes an injury, they are deceiving the ref. They are lying to the ref's face. And with their deceit, they're hoping that the referee makes an error. So as a player, here you are complaining about the referee's errors. But at the same time, you want the referee to make an error with your actions, but you want him to make it in your favor. And it doesn't work like that. You either want the referee to not make mistakes at all, or if they do make mistakes, then you have to be okay with making the mistakes, whether they're in your favor or against you. You cannot be in favor of mistakes that favor you, but against mistakes that against you. It doesn't work like that. You can't have your cake and eat it as well, which, by the way, I never understood that saying. Of course I want to eat my cake. It's my cake. But anyways, you get the point, right? So I think it's time to start talking about handing out yellows to players who lie and deceive referees, because they are trying to get the referee to make the wrong call. They're lying to them. They are deceiving them in their face. And it's time to start punishing this kind of behavior, because guess what? You start doing this, you hand out 1 yellow, 2 yellows to players who dive, and guess what? Nobody's going to be doing it again. And in doing this, you are protecting the sport, because at the end of the day, that's what the referees are there for, right? They're there to protect the integrity of the sport. And one way to protect the integrity of the sport is to have players stop lying to refs, because just like you hate when referees make mistakes against you, you should also be against referees making mistakes in your favor. At the end of the day, we don't want any mistakes, period. We just want good refereeing, honest refereeing, where referees make the right decisions, and not where referees applaud them when they make mistakes in your favor and then get mad when they make mistakes against you. It doesn't work like that. So I think it's time to change the rules. It's time to start training these refs to punish this kind of behavior, because enough is enough, right? Getafe, every match that they play, they pull this kind of crap and the referees allow it. Today, Leganes pulled a lot of this crap. The referee didn't buy it, but he also didn't punish it. So this is why I'm saying I'm not here against complaining about today's ref. I'm here complaining about refereeing in general. But overall, again, not a good match by Barcelona. A lot of imprecise passes, a lot of stupid loss of ball, a lot of dumb mistakes here and there. But at the end of the day, you have to know how to win these matches, including the complicated ones, including the ones against smaller clubs, because that's how you win titles, right? You have to be able to win in all kinds of different manners, whether it's through thrashing, whether it's through winning easily, winning when you are down a man, winning complicated matches, winning in at home, winning away, winning against big clubs, winning against small clubs, winning against mid-table teams. You have to be able to know how to win in all different ways and manners. And today, Barcelona were able to pull this victory. Again, very, very important victory as it puts more pressure on Real Madrid, who tomorrow have to play against Alaves. Hopefully they drop points, but if they don't, guess what? We're still ahead of them by 4 points. Now, let's talk about the lineup itself, because we did see a little bit change of lineups. I think this was Hansi Flick just thinking of the match against Dortmund. But this was the lineup. Of course, Szczesny on goal. Kunde and Valdez are two fullbacks. Araujo taking the place of Pau Cubarsí. I'm guessing Hansi Flick was trying to rest Cubarsí for the match against Dortmund. Eric Garcia taking the place of Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong, who had a very tough match against Dortmund, did an amazing job, ran a lot, covered a lot of ground. So I think Flick was trying to rest Frankie here for the match against Dortmund, putting Eric Garcia in his place. Pedri, and then up front, Fermin Lopez, of course, taking the place of the injured Dani Olmo, and who deserves to be in that position, having had really good matches. Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, and of course, Lewandowski up front. Now, overall, the few players I want to talk about is Eric Garcia. I think Eric Garcia did a really good job today, stepping in for Frankie de Jong in the place of Pedri. Of course, he's not as good as Frankie, because when we saw Frankie de Jong come in, we saw a big difference. I think Frankie really gave Barcelona a little bit more offensive prowess, because, of course, that's the kind of player that he is. Frankie de Jong is much more offensive profile than, let's say, Eric Garcia, who, but again, Eric Garcia did a good job, was really good holding the line, helping with the defensive work, really good with his forward passes, but it's not really a player that can grab the ball and make forward runs like Frankie de Jong. So when Frankie de Jong came in, did give Barcelona more of offensive prowess, but nonetheless, really good job by Eric Garcia, taking the place of Frankie and helping Pedri in those defensive duties. Fermin Lopez, I think for me, he was the best player today. Of course, that doesn't say much, because I thought our whole offense was just off completely. But nonetheless, I think Fermin Lopez continues to make a statement that he wants to be a starter. And today, I think he had a really good chance, by the way, which would have ended up in goal. I think it would have been the goal of the week, if not the goal of the month, because he takes on 2-3 defenders in the box, then he misses it hand to hand with the goalkeeper. He misses it. I don't know how he did that, but nonetheless, really beautiful play. And then, Rafinha, another bad match by Rafinha. I don't know what's going on since the international break after the Argentina loss. He hasn't been the same player. He recovered his form against Dortmund, and I thought, okay, Rafinha has shaken it off, but today he went back again to having a bad match. Lamine Yamal, also not a good day for Lamine Yamal. He tried a few things here and there, but it was also an off match for him, but can't blame him. He's 17 years old. And of course, without Rafinha or Lamine Yamal doing much, Lewandowski was also not there. As far as the substitutions, I think the Frankie for Eric Garcia helped a little bit, gave Barcelona a little bit more offensive prowess. I think the Araujo substitution, Araujo coming out in the place of, who came in his place? I'm forgetting a little bit. I can't remember who came, but I think that substitution also helped a little bit. Oh yeah, because Eric Garcia went back to being a center back, so that gave us a little bit more build-up from the back, because Araujo, we know he's great 1v1s. We know he's great intercepting the ball. We know he's great in the air, but as far as forward passes, not really a good option. So Eric Garcia taking his place, giving us more better forward passes, better build-up from the back. And, with Frankie taking the place of Eric Garcia, again, a little bit more offensive prowess in the mid. Ferran Torres didn't really improve much on Lewandowski. I think it was the same thing. It was just man for man, just giving Lewandowski some rest ahead of the Dortmund match. Gabi coming in from Fermin, again, didn't improve really that position either. It was more of a man-for-man substitution, again, resting Fermin Lopez against Dortmund. And overall, again, not a good match by Barcelona, but we got the victory. We got the 3 points. That puts pressure on Real Madrid. And, of course, we continue to dream of that La Liga title. Now, that's all I have to say about today's match. I think the only highlight I would say is I really hope that referees start punishing this kind of behavior that Leganes was doing today a lot, because it needs to stop. It needs to stop. I mean, it really disrupts the sport. It makes these matches really ugly. And, if this league is it's hoping to be the best league in the world, we cannot be having these kind of matches, because it was just absolutely ugly out there on the field. All right, let's do the comment section. Let's see what everyone is talking about. But Not the Gamer says, great to see Balde get up and walk back to the bench. That's a very good sign, hopefully. Yeah, we saw Balde get injured. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Of course, we'll know more tomorrow. As you know, when players get injured, usually the next day is when they undergo medical exams and when you really know. I've seen some reports floating around saying he's going to be out for 3 weeks. Again, I don't really like to go to abide by those reports because the actual medical exam is not going to happen till tomorrow. So for now, everything's speculation. It could end up being true that yes, he is out for 3 weeks, but for now, everything is speculation until he actually undergoes medical exams. And the doctors, not the reporters, the doctors can actually tell us how long he will be out for. Not a funny guy says, any news about Barcola? I heard he might leave PSG. Nothing that I've heard of. I've heard about. Kick City FX says, at this point, I don't care how we win as long as we win. If we have to sell an organ or a leg, I don't care. Well, you should. If we sell our organs, then we won't have them to play other matches, right? Not the gamer says, praying for Carlos Aleñá masterclass versus Madrid tomorrow. If you didn't know, Getafe loaned him to Alaves, where he has 2 assists in 7 matches. Yeah, hopefully Aleñá can here do us a favor and maybe extend our lead over Real Madrid. And Abraham says, Alaves will do exactly what Leganes did to Barca tonight. Yeah, most likely. And Roger says, morning, good evening. Question, how many more 4+ goals do Barca need to break the all-time record? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I have to look into it. I think right now it's 20+ matches that Barcelona have thrashed. But I don't know how many more to break the record. I'll definitely look into it, and maybe I'll mention it in my news video later today. And Raul says, Mo, whenever Yamal has an off game, our attack dies out. Rafa gets goals, but we need a real threat left wing. Rafa can't dribble nor progress the ball. He's more suited for cam role. Yeah, I think I do agree. Whenever Lamine Yamal is not having a good match, our attack is just not there because Lamine Yamal is someone who can make a difference with his dribbling, right? He could create a lot of danger. He can create a lot of space. He could create a lot of opportunities with his dribbling. Unfortunately, we don't have that on the left wing. Again, this is not to knock Rafinha's performance during the season because he's been absolutely spectacular. Maybe not the last few matches, but nonetheless, overall, Rafinha has been really good. But yes, you're right. When Lamine Yamal is not having a good match, we lose a lot of punch because we don't have another player on the left to be able to do the same thing, which is create space through his dribbling. And you really need that when you play against teams who park the bus, right? Because teams who park the bus don't leave much space. You need a player that can create that space with his dribbling. And the only one who can do that with Lamine Yamal, which if he's having a great game, perfect, great. He's going to create you plenty of spaces. But if he's not having a great game, you're screwed because there's no one else who can do that on the team, right? I mean, Pedri can, but Pedri's more of a midfielder. So we need someone else who on the left wing that can also create and compensate for when Lamine Yamal is not having a good match. And for when Lamine Yamal is having a good match and you have 2 people creating space on the wings, that only makes things even much more accessible for other players to, make those runs and score those goals. Ibrahim says, what is wrong with Fermin? He missed important opportunities today. Same in Dortmund game, even though he did make an assist to Lewandowski. Lamine, well, you got to think about this. Fermin Lopez is a midfielder. He is not he's not a forward. He's not an attacker. So the finishing is not there because midfielders are not usually there to finish, right? Midfielders are there to create the chances, obviously also to defend, but that's why you see Fermin Lopez creating a lot more assists than he does score goals because he's a midfielder, right? As far as his performance, I think Fermin Lopez has been having really good performances. Yes, he missed a clear one today, but overall, I think Fermin has been really good, and he's making a clear statement that he should be a starter ahead of Dani Olmo. And honestly, at this point, I think he should. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dani Olmo is better overall, but that guy gets injured every other day. So why not have Fermin Lopez start in his place? Mark says, the saying makes more sense if you say you can't eat your cake and have it too. Basically means you have to pick between eating a cake and having a cake. That's a good point. That's true, because I do want to eat my own cake. I mean, it's my cake, man. Come on. Plus, I love cake. Depends on the cake, I guess. Noel says, hey, Mo, tuning in from Dominican Republic. Is there any news on Balde? I hope it's nothing serious. No news yet. Again, tomorrow he'll undergo medical exams. We'll find out with more detail what's going on with him. But nothing confirmed so far. Zach Urban says, we've been spoiled by Flake, Thrash, and Expert. Games like this shouldn't be a worry. It was a little bit because Barcelona could not find the space, right? I mean, I'm not saying we should thrash every team, but it would have been nice if the 0-1 was as a result of Barcelona scoring the goal, right? Versus being an own goal. So it was a little bit worrying because Barcelona was just not having a good match and they couldn't unlock Leganes' defense. Luckily, we got an own goal, but without that own goal, this match would have ended 0-0. It could have even ended in a loss because, I mean, Leganes had all the clear chances. The only clear chance we had was maybe the Fermin one where he misses. But besides that, there wasn't and that was a miss. But there wasn't a single chance that Barcelona created where the Leganes goalie had to make some incredible save. But Szczesny did, right? Szczesny had that incredible save. What was it during the first half? That was a clear chance by Leganes. There was another one where they scored a goal, but it was ruled offside. That was a clear by them. There was that run by Munir at the 90th minute with Inigo Martinez making that incredible tackle from behind and saving our asses. So Leganes had all the clear chances. We only had one. So it is worrying. Again, I'm not saying that we should have gone out there and won 5-0, but hell, I mean, a 1-0 with our own goal would have been much better than 1-0 with an own goal scored by Leganes. I think I got a little bit messy there with my words, but you get the point, right? It would have been better if we had scored that goal versus being an own goal. Make Valencia says, worried about Balde. If he's out for 3 weeks, could he potentially be out of the semifinals if we make it past Dortmund? Potentially, yes. But I think Gerard Martin has been really doing a really good job stepping in for Balde. Obviously, Gerard Martin doesn't give you that offensive prowess because he's not an offensive fullback. He's more of a left back versus a fullback. But hopefully not. Hopefully Balde is fine. Again, we'll know more tomorrow. Nima says, hi Mo, congrats to everyone for the win. I heard a funny stat today. Endrick has played less minutes than Bernal this season. Bravo, Carlo. Yeah, Carlo Ancelotti just does not like to bet on the younger players. It's like he sticks to his 11 and that's it. Like we've seen Asensio, he's supposed to, which people are already comparing him to Cubarsí. Like, please stop making jokes. Real Madrid clowns are always like so eager to compare their players to ours. It's like they have such an inferiority complex that they always want to find someone to compare. Like they were comparing Bellingham for Pedri, and it's like, really? Anyways, and now they're trying to say that Asensio is better than Cubarsí. Really? A bench warmer is better than a starter? Anyways, and then they were trying to say also that Arda Güler was better than Pedri. I mean, they're always looking to compare their players. They have such an inferiority complex. The whole Messi versus Ronaldo only started because of Madrid fans, right? The two are not comparable. I'm sorry, but they're not. But anyways, it looks like Ancelotti. I don't know what it is, but he just does not like to bet on he doesn't like to gamble. Let's put it that way. Because when you are choosing a youngster over a veteran or an experienced player, it is a gamble, right? It can either pay off, or if it doesn't, you're gonna get a lot of flack, right? Because people are gonna be like, how are you gonna take out this veteran and put in this kid? Like that was stupid. But obviously, if it works out, everybody hails you as a hero. So it's like a double-edged sword. He doesn't like to gamble. Like Flick, he doesn't care. Like he's gambled on a lot of youngsters and it's worked out for him, right? Benching Araujo, that was a big one, right? If that hadn't worked out, people would have burned Flick at the stake. Like, how dare you bench Araujo? But it did work out. And that's the thing about, you have to sometimes gamble, right? And Ancelotti doesn't like to do that. Like Asensio is always on the bench. Like he prefers to put midfielders in a place of center backs than put Asensio in, even though he's a natural center back. Endrick, Güler, like all these supposed next best things that Madrid spent a lot of money on, they're all just sitting on the bench. But whatever helps them lose, I'm all for it. Theater of Clowns says, I like Martin, but if Balde is out for CDR final, then we might not win the treble and Madrid will have a trophy to save face. I don't think that's necessarily true. Would it suck not having Balde? Of course. But I don't think enough to where it's like, oh, it's over, we can't win because Balde is out. Like, I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Jason says, Mo, they finally came in. The Yamal away jersey is so clean and the Pedri home one is fine. Nice, man. Congrats. That's awesome. I guess they're in stock now because I've been trying to buy the away match for so long and they're always out of stock. So I guess I'll check because I still don't have any jerseys from this season, and that's unacceptable. And let's do the last message, last comment by Catalan 094 says, I have a feeling Alaves get a draw tomorrow. I hope so, man. I hope so. I mean, Madrid right now are completely defeated mentally and physically. I think the Valencia loss did not go well for them. They went into the Champions League. They already looked like defeated. You could see them on the field, just not running with intensity, just their faces, their body language. And that loss only added more to their mental and physical anguish. So hopefully tomorrow they'll be completely like demoralized, especially with Barcelona's win. Because again, like if tomorrow you come out, you play your ass off with all full intensity, you work super hard, you get the victory, and you're like, yeah, I just sacrificed to get this victory. And it's like, okay, but it's back to like being 4 points behind, right? So it's like hard to get motivated for a match like that, especially when you have the the Arsenal match a few days away, and that's really the match that you're trying to, come back from. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. And if you want to let me know your thoughts and opinions about today's match, make sure you drop a comment. I will be making some news video later tonight, so I will see you guys in those videos. And as always, Visca Barça.